Hello, everybody. Marge let me know that Russ could not be here today. He had a conflict, but we have a quorum, and I haven't heard from David. David didn't send a message to you that he couldn't be here.
He did send a message, and Laura sent him a link to the Zoom.
Oh, he's gonna Zoom in maybe?
Not yet, but I'm
Okay.
here.
Okay, great. So I just want to make sure I have everybody's contact information right. Russ, Meredith, Don. Don, I know I have your stuff elsewhere, but would you give me your email and cell phone on that list? Okay, so I'm going to call this meeting to order and Laura, take off. And for us to have a quorum, let's see, we've got 4, but Dana, who's an alternate for this meeting, you can be a regular. Should we vote on something, you can vote. So, Marge, are you taking your usual minutes for us? Yep. Thank you so much. So Dana's moved up to regular. And our first item of business is approving these beautiful minutes from our last meeting that Marge did for us. Does anyone have any comments, questions, corrections on the minutes? Very good to me.
David's on the.
David's on. Hi, David.
Am I, can you see me or?
We can hear you and we see your name.
We see ourselves.
Okay,
I don't know if you can get a video of yourself on.
Oh, there
you are. David,
okay. Hello all.
thank you for joining us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I moved Dana up from alternate to regular just because she was here before you, David. So no problem. But thank you for being here. And David, no, David.
Natalie.
We can only have 5 seated at any meeting.
Okay.
And since Marie and Don, you and I are okay. Good. David, anything on the minutes from the last meeting that you?
No, I wanted to say I have a caregiver coming at 12:30. So if I disappear for a few minutes, I'll be back.
Thank you. Okay, so would someone make a motion to approve the minutes? I make a motion to approve. Thank you. Marie moved to approve. A second?
Up or down?
You're up.
Oh, I'm up. I'll take it. I'll
Okay,
second it.
Dana second.
If I was down, then David should have.
Nope, you're both alternates, either one of you, and you were here first. So, okay, so we've got a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Oh, Steve, I wasn't here.
Okay, just know that you don't have to abstain because you weren't here. Just the Board of Ed had a thing at their most recent meeting where they didn't have enough members who were members of the board when they were trying to approve minutes, and people thought they couldn't vote, and that's just not the case. So, okay, so they were approved with 4 in favor and 1 abstention. And no opposed. Great, so our minutes are done. And I don't think we have any public communications. You haven't received anything. I haven't. So we can immediately move to the staff report. And let you go through your updates for us.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Housing rehabilitation. Last time we talked, I mentioned that we had about 10 homeowners on the wait list that we are working through. We had the first one on the, not first one on the list, but number one on that list, we had already started progressing to site visits and starting to put out bids for work there. Currently, we have approved 7 of the 10, and so as I discussed the other time, that we're trying to speed up that review process so that homeowners can at least know that if they're approved or not. But the work still will take time, and so I always try to communicate that with homeowners. So 7 out of the 10 are approved, and we are working through those as fast but as effective as possible.
I do. Of those 3 that are remaining, or any of the 10, obviously they're low income and they have problems with their home. If we cannot help them for one reason or another, where can they go?
So the consultant that I work with, we always give a list of recommendations.
Okay.
For if it's denied, this is why it's denied, how to improve your chances for other, whether it's a state program or other initiatives that they could explore for that. Yeah. And a lot of times you'll find it's maybe the loan to value percentage is not where it needs to be. If you can get an updated appraisal, sometimes that would help, to get the evaluation done on the property. So we do give a list of recommendations.
You don't take the evaluation from the assessor's office?
We do.
Okay.
But that is dated 2021, I think. So yeah.
I think 21 is enough.
Yes, yeah. So there's different recommendations that we can put out. We don't just deny an application.
Mm-hmm.
We will tell you, these are the reasons and these are the points in our program. These are the things we can go for an application. So and I was speaking to homeowners more recently too. We want to be able to help, but we also have to meet set criteria for how we can help.
Okay.
How are the contractors arranged? Do the homeowners do it, or the program? How does that?
Through the program, we put out advertisements for bids. The pre-bid meeting that contractors are to come to. They'll do site walks and kind of what work needs to be done, with the different subcontracts or whether it be, roofing, windows, and so they plug bids or amounts for each that they could do the work for. And then we put a timeline to when we need the bids in by, and so they'll submit those, and then.
So it's really town
Yes,
that's doing that,
yes,
it's not
yes,
the
yes.
homeowner that's doing it.
That's like an RFP?
Yes.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. And that's part of and it's a requirement for the CBG program too, is that they have to properly give all contractors an equal opportunity to, apply for this. So that adds time to every single home. So it's not like I can sign up Monday and Friday they show up. No, you have to allow a certain number of days for the ad to be posted. It has to be posted on the state website too. It has to be public. It has to be not private operation. Issues we have experienced of late too is that some homes have not been in good condition for contractors to even visit. So what I've tried to communicate with homeowners is, try to clean up and tidy up some things in the home, so that as the consultant comes to do the site visit, at least we can get to where the work needs to be done. The experience I've had is they couldn't even access the place, some of the places that need work. There's so many things. So it presents a challenge for the consultant and also contractors. If they see that your home is running clean or tidy, then they tend to not want to work on that project much. So you can, as a homeowner, please try to clean up a little bit, even if it's for a few days, but show that we try so that we can get the contractors out there. Then the CDBG 2021.
Just before you move on, so 7 of 10 have been approved.
Yes.
The 3 remaining, were they denied?
Yes.
Or they were actually
Yes.
denied? Okay. And there aren't others on a waiting list at this point?
There are others, but they haven't. The review has not been completed for those.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
So there's like phases of them.
there are other
Yes,
applications?
yes, And we do encourage, and I speak to homeowners every day on this, and we do encourage homeowners to apply, at least apply, because if you're on the list, and like I said, it takes a while for us to get down that list. You don't never know in 6 months or 8 months from now, we may get to you, but if you have not applied in 8 months from now, we are thinking of applying, that'll still push you further back than you. So just submit the application and have it in there, it's just a documentation.
Do you have any idea how many other applications you've received?
There's about 4.
For?
Yes, yeah. And those have not necessarily, they're in the initial review phase. What that is I review them for completeness.
Understood.
Do you have all the supporting documentation with your application?
Yep.
Household size, number of working adults, and all of that. That's what I go through, and then I send it to the consultant. He does his review, and then together we give our feedback to each other. Reason why we do that, why I want us to continue doing that, so that it's not just based on one person's opinion, but
Yep.
so he can check me.
David, can you hear?
Yes, it's a little difficult, but I can hear.
We should make a point of speaking
Oh, okay,
loudly and
yeah.
clearly here for
Oh,
David.
okay, yeah.
So there are 4 applications pending that you haven't been evaluated yet. And I only ask, I think it's important to know, are there 50 people or 100 people waiting? So it's a small group applying.
Yes, and
Okay,
when I say we are in initial review, is because they're still giving me some of other documentation.
sure.
So technically, they are not on the wait list because they're not complete, but they are in that kind of
Right.
phase of getting it there. Yeah.
Understood.
Yesterday, I was on the phone with I think 3 or 4 other people who were interested in picking up applications. So a lot of people pick up the application and the people submit. That's something I've noticed too, and so it's up to the homeowners if they want to submit an application or not.
Sure. Okay, and the money, do you have any idea how much of our pot of money sort of would be spent for these 7 projects you've approved, and how much money is still available?
I can say the estimate is 245,000.
Is what we've committed?
Yeah, that's up to, that's the total we are allowed to allocate for each. But if you sum those all together, you know what I'm saying?
245 is the total we
yes.
have available for,
We
All?
would say, so those approved ones have up to that amount to work with, each being 35,000 each. Yes, yeah. So sometimes you'll find it's less than 35, the work they're doing, so there's that variable.
I'm still a little unclear, I'm not gonna pursue it, but just in the future, just
Okay.
know that's kind of a question I'll have each time. If you can have the numbers
Okay.
for how much money is
Yeah.
for the projects that have been approved, and how much money is still available. I like to
That's
kind
what
of,
I'm thinking, what's the available
Um,
after these 7?
Well,
Whether they.
so here's what happens is, so homeowners who sell their homes are paying off their homes. So that number on the back end is also constantly
Right.
changing.
right,
There's also, so the work we are approved, there's, what do you call it, invoices that have been submitted, and so that number is also not, it's not a number that, how can I say?
Fluid number.
Yeah, they are constantly moving, but I do know is the estimate of the work we have approved to be done, yes,
Yeah.
and so that's that number.
And we know we have enough money to cover that.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
and there's still some available
Yes.
for, okay.
Yeah.
That in the future, if you
Yes.
can have those
Yeah.
numbers, maybe even put them.
I'll put them as
That-
estimates,
that
yes,
would be-
because what I don't want to do, I don't want to
But
create,
nothing
someone
is
saying-
solid.
yeah, I don't want,
Yeah.
I don't want
They're all-
confusion, yeah.
You can absolutely say they're estimates, they're fluid, but
Yeah.
that's just the thing, big picture thing I like to
Yeah.
try to have a
Yes, yeah.
sense of. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, because then it says, okay, if we've got $70,000, well, there's 2 more people we can help.
Yeah.
Today.
Today, yes.
Tomorrow we
Today.
might have more,
Mhm.
but today
Yeah.
we have them.
And that's why we are doing the approval process not earlier. We're trying to work that separate to the construction phase. so that we know, what the numbers are ahead of time instead of, approving someone, but then find out that we don't have the money to for the homeowner until a later time. And so, the approval process, we know the 7 is there, we know we have the funds for that 7, and anyone else we approve from there onwards, we need to be more careful to make sure that, the funds are truly there and we can, successfully complete that
So
project.
let me ask you this. Suppose you only have 20,000. Next guy in line who is approved just needs a roof and 20 will cover it. Can you just do what his major need is?
Yes, our consultant will, communicate with the homeowner, and there'll be a list of priorities set,
Right.
whatever the priorities are, and the homeowner does have a right to say, yes, let's do this, or no, let's not. So that part is always in consultation with the homeowner.
Okay.
So they're not excluding that part. But I will say the only priority that the state requires that we ensure that the priorities that are set are not necessarily based on wants, but more so what is needed on the property.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if there's your roof's leaking, but we'd rather fix something else. That we have to weigh those two as the things. What is an emergency versus
We want your roof not to be leaking before we fix your kitchen floor.
you know what I mean? Like things like that.
Sure.
So those things will be communicated.
First thing.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And is our consultant Peter Testa?
Yes.
Is he the one we use? Okay,
A&E services.
great. Okay. Which one you want to do next?
CBG 2021 COVID-19 PPE guide.
Yep.
There was a request that we see if we can make additional purchases such as self-test kits. That was made at our last meeting. Spent some time with the state Department of Housing, trying to figure out, is it allowed? Can we make an additional expenditure? And they said we could only do it if we request an extension of the grant. If we did the extension, then I had to work with them again to say, okay, well, now we want to purchase these test kits. Can we do it? So working through their process, but we got 8 boxes of self-test kits. The boxes, crates, each contain 90 kits of 2, those. We distributed them to the library, Drive 55 plus, and Municipal homes.
Library to Drive 55.
So the state is requesting a drawdown and a closeout of this grant. So the date that I'm putting there is I want to submit the reimbursement request before the end of the month. By a closeout process.
David, we can hear that music if that's coming from you.
I do have music. Is that disturbing you? I can turn it off.
Thank you.
Or just mute yourself.
Yeah, or mute yourself.
Echo off.
Okay. All right. Next one you want to cover? And
2024 Neighbor Assistance Act program. That's a program where nonprofit organizations in the community can apply for up to $150,000 tax credits to businesses that contribute match to that, not a match, but up to $150,000 tax credit.
yeah.
The organizational invitations was announced earlier this month, and we have communicated with some of the organizations in the community. We do have a running list of nonprofits that have expressed interest in this program, and so we've communicated to them. The due date, again, similar to last year, is July 1st of 2024. we are finalizing business outreach material. We're trying to speak to businesses that could potentially participate in this program. We're not allowed requiring businesses to participate, but we can send a friendly letter and a poster about the program.
Let them know there's an
Yeah,
opportunity
yeah.
for them
So that's
to
what we're
participate.
doing. We'll try to get those materials out sometime next week. And then also we are looking to host an informational session through this program, not through this program, specifically for this program. I was speaking with Lauren, and we're looking at Thursday next week, between 5 and 6. There'll be a Zoom opportunity where people can come in on the Zoom and listening to a little bit of presentation about the program, and then we can do a Q&A at that point. Organizations have questions, or issues that they would like recommendations for.
Is that one specifically for the nonprofits, or is that one for the businesses,
Oh.
or both?
I'll include communication in the business outreach tool to say that that'll happen, and if they're interested to, at least listen in, they can do that too. So, we'll do that.
Can you explain again how that works? And I understand the tax credit, but so the business gives money to a nonprofit and then they can take tax credit for the amount of money that they gave.
And what Marshall had explained to us is that the nonprofits apply, but then the nonprofits really have to find the business and get the business to agree to contribute the money and get the tax credit. So the town can only help businesses know there's this opportunity, but the nonprofits themselves have to make that link with the businesses.
Or the business to the nonprofit.
Right. So. Okay.
And again, that informational session will be made public to the community sometime this week, not by Friday. So people can have it on their calendar if they, are interested in. At
Will
least
that be
listening in.
on GMTV later?
I am not sure about that yet.
Okay. Because if we can't make it, then I'd like to at least watch it.
Yes, I think it might be on YouTube, maybe,
Okay,
for sure.
well, yeah, that's, I'll watch it through the channel and get the YouTube.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not sure. Yes, but yeah, it will be. I think that Lauren did bring that up, that we should make it available to the public if they are not, able to attend, but they can still, watch it on their own time later. So that opportunity will be there.
Can you make sure they send the link for the Thursday meeting to the members of this
Okay.
committee?
Yes, I
That
can
would
do
be
that.
good. But just inviting us if anybody wants to listen. Okay,
Yeah. No.
that's good.
The
And do we know from the previous year, I know there were businesses that had applied, businesses that had been approved by the town. I'm sorry, not business, nonprofit. Do we know how many of them were able to find a business partner to fund them?
The state, yes, one organization, Community of Hope, I think it's called,
Yeah,
they received funds through Groton Utility. I think they applied for 112,000, and they received those funds.
is that the only one? Because I know there was a list of nonprofits
That applied.
that applied
Yes,
and the
yes.
town approved, but the others
I don't
didn't
think
get
so. Yeah,
funding.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's the challenge, and that's why we've been speaking about this outreach effort since last year to kind of try to get businesses
Yeah.
more involved.
Pfizer and electric boat, and I would think, yeah.
Contacted the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
So if I know of a business that might be interested, I should tell the business, who should the business call to get information?
They can contact me.
Contact you?
I am
Okay.
the local representative for that program. We can put them on a list, and this time as we distribute information about the program, that they receive it. Because so the business side have until September, end of September, beginning of October to submit their forms. And on their forms, they then would detail which organization they're interested in supporting and how much they're committed to.
Anybody else have a question, comment about that? No? Okay. All righty. Neighborhood Assistance Grant. You got what you need for the minutes there, Marge?
Probably.
Okay, good.
It's a lot of thinking when I get home. I think faster than I write.
Okay, small cities grant application for 2024.
So the state issued a notice that they'll be hosting a workshop March 29th for certified grant administrators, and town staff that are qualified to participate in this program. What that is, they'll communicate, what this year's priorities are for the state, and if there's any changes to the application that we need to know about, and just kind of work through challenges that they've experienced in the past with applications and how funds were spent. I will be attending with our consultant from ECHO. ECHO is currently working with Mystic River Home to finalize the project, as we call it, knowing that there's components to that, packet that we'll be applying with. I think he's just kind of, they are just combing through, what are we defining as our project that we apply to the state, knowing that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but we can't, just send a whole list of things. We need to know exactly what we are applying for, and so they're working through that. I'll start attending meetings with Mystic River Home and ECHO too here coming up, just so that we have a better sense of, do we have a strong project or not? And then how can we best present it to the state that, it's a priority. Yes.
Okay, so I know Nolan Homes, I know Sonic, I know Russell Gardens. Where is Mystic River Home?
Mystic River Homes is the one in kind of as you head towards Knowing. It's called Mystic River Homes, but it's right off Water Street.
Yeah, you
Elm
start
Street.
Water Street from Mystic and you keep going towards Nolan.
So I think it's the first one you named.
Okay, Nolan.
But it's not,
What was that?
the name of it is Mystic River Homes, it's not Knowing. It's in,
But it's
almost in Knowing.
almost in Nolan. Okay, that's why I was confused, because I've always thought that Nolan. Okay.
Mystic River. It started by the Knowing Baptist Church
Yeah.
years ago. Yeah, it's got the congregate housing and the
Yeah.
other, and we've done a couple of other grants, the CDBG grants.
So are we doing more for them or just finalizing what they have?
It'll be doing more for them.
Doing more, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
will that include the elevator?
That's what we are discussing as to what
Okay.
we can include. So those are the questions we need to address. Say, okay, what is our project? So that's what we-
I think that will be a priority.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
to look at what the
Right.
state is saying, but I
Yeah.
think because they're low-income housing
Yeah.
for seniors and disabled, and that's the state's priority.
Yeah. So
Chances are
yeah.
that whatever improvements they feel they need to do, the state will, I would think, would be
Yeah.
approved.
We'll know after March 29th what the state says, so that we can finalize our package.
Okay, and so Mystic River is getting a second bite at the apple. What about Russell Gardens? Are we
So
into that at all?
So, what we started, I think, in the last year was intake form requirement so that we know what the community needs are. And it's been given out to organizations that both we've worked with in the past and some organizations that could potentially apply with us, asking for, work that they need to be done that we can apply for in 2024. And we've communicated that you need to submit this documentation. We know, so that we can prioritize too, what can wait a year, what needs to be done, sooner. Mystic River Home was the only one that submitted the intake form. And because of the state requirements and their deadlines, there really isn't time to build the project before the application, unless if you're ready to move ahead as soon as you submit that.
So
Okay.
let me answer the question in a different way, Marge.
Yeah,
So
we're not ready.
when you say Grasso Gardens and Pequot Village, that all comes under the Groton Housing Authority, okay? The Groton Housing Authority is moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
Further
I
with a
would-
big project.
Oh, my God.
I watched their list of funding, and it didn't include CDBG money. So they've been able to put together a financing package to do what they want to do at Grass on Pequot without using the CDBG money.
Okay,
Okay. I was wanting the CDBG money to go to them if they needed it.
well, me too, because
Right.
they're tearing them down completely and starting over.
Absolutely. But I think their executive director is able to access other money. And they've put together a
Okay.
funding package based on what I saw them present to the council the
Yeah,
other
I
night.
watched that. That was an excellent event.
Yeah.
I'd love to have them go over to Butler.
He's phenomenal. The executive director for them is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so I think it makes sense for the
Okay.
CDBG money to go to Mr.
Oh,
River
absolutely,
Homes for
absolutely.
now.
I didn't realize they didn't need any more.
They
I'm
would
not
never,
sure they may not.
they would
need it.
never say they don't.
However,
need it.
next year, they came through and said, we need,
Yeah.
you could apply
Yeah.
for them.
Yes, they
Okay.
have to have plans that are developed enough, and I
Yeah,
think
yes.
I think last year.
The challenge is always-
It didn't quite happen, that the town was ready to get some money for them, but they didn't have the plan. Partly because they're doing big projects, 40
Yeah.
million, 60
Yeah.
million. And so the 2 million that we
Yeah.
can get from CDBG is almost,
Yeah.
it doesn't make a huge impact for them, but for Mr. River Homes it does.
Right.
Since for whatever reason, they're not going after these other big buckets of money. So I'm just glad the town is gonna be able to apply, or hopefully,
Well, we're trying to get us ready.
yes, exactly. Yep, so,
An example of variables that CDBG allows and does not allow, at least through the state of Connecticut, you cannot apply for new construction. There has to
Okay.
be modernization of existing, so those are some of the things that,
Okay.
so, with housing authority, depending on the type of project they're prioritizing first, it might be, the new construction, but
yep,
Yeah.
they're doing.
so
new-
those
they're
are
gonna knock-
things
yeah,
that
they're
They're
they're,
gonna knock Grasso down and build new.
so those are things that play a role in their decision making for when or why to apply for CDBG.
Where are the current residents gonna go when?
So they've got this amazing they're gonna build a whole new apartment building on land behind Grasso Gardens by the Ambulance Association. The land approaches Jabez Smith House. If you know that, off on the side of 117, they own land there. They're gonna build, I think, a 3-story, I
It
forget.
didn't look like it.
I think a 3-story building. I believe their plan is to move residents into that and then knock down the Grasso Garden units in stages. So it's not gonna be
Yeah, they
all.
said they've already talked to all the residents, and the residents are more than happy to move to get to a new facility.
Because the Grasso units, as you heard, are only 300 square feet. If you visited, I don't know how many, they're tiny and they're old.
Those are the ones that I went with you and you were really in bad shape?
Yes.
Graphic Garden?
Yeah,
Yeah,
117,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was that,
Yeah.
yeah.
They
So
weren't that great, I don't know, 30 years ago, and my mother was in
Was it bad then?
it. Wasn't great.
they're tiny, they've been
Tiny,
tiny
very
from the
tiny.
beginning. So literally, the new units are gonna be twice as much space. So it's really amazing what they're doing. But, yeah, so, okay, so good. Mystic River Homes, CDBG, UN Echo.
Oh, yes.
Is it still Andrew?
Yes,
Andy,
yes,
Andy,
in the
Andy
contact,
Woodstock is the guy who works for Eastern Connecticut Housing Opportunities, known as
Yes.
ECHO. And he helped the Housing Authority with the previous projects they did.
And Mr. River Homes.
And Mr.
Yes,
River Homes, yes,
yes,
thank you,
yes.
that's right. So, so good, I'm delighted that's moving forward. Look
The
forward to hearing.
application, the due date to submit the application, and I would say tentative due date is May 31.
Okay, so they give you 2 months after their meeting where they tell you what you can apply
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
And the application
That's the
is
book,
like
yeah.
this thick. It's just, it's incredible what you have to have.
And so I say tentative too, because March 29th, then they will say, they'll announce the official date as would be as this day. It's either gonna be that day, or they might say a week after that, or, you know, whatever date they give us. But from their early announcement, they said May that is the date we should work with. So we are currently working on scheduling the public hearings and kind of doing that initial process of applying for CDC grant, in which public hearing is mandatory. There's other site-specific work we need to do, environmental reviews and all of that type of thing still needs to be done too. With public hearings alone, there's dates that the state requires you to post an ad about a public hearing, and you cannot post the hearing. I think first date is 14 days before the public hearing, it needs to be posted, and then again, 3 days before the hearing, it needs to be posted. So those dates also push back on, you know, the application itself.
And basically, a public hearing just means that at a town council meeting, there's an opportunity for people to come and speak in favor or opposed to the town applying for this. So any of us who want to, it would be good to go to that meeting and just say, as members of this group, aware of the needs for low-income housing, senior housing, and limited funds available. We were pleased the town is willing to work with Mystic River Homes and keep this going, because they have needs to continue to improve what they have available. So that's great.
And we do need to document those comments or public comments and submit them to the state. They want to see everything. So that's not, so it's very important, I guess, it's necessary.
So we would go,
Sometime between March and the end of May, there'll be a
Yeah.
public hearing at the town.
so
council.
that would be either the first Tuesday in April.
Lauren was
We
working.
don't know a date yet.
Yeah,
but April,
Lauren was
April,
working
May.
the dates
Unless the
because,
town picks up a special session.
Yeah,
Because the public can talk on the first Tuesday of the month.
yes, but this is a specific
Yeah.
public hearing. It's different than
Right.
just public comment.
So
But
they
you said
can
it
do
was part of the
that.
town council meeting.
It'll be
Yeah.
at a town council.
Yeah,
meeting.
so the town council can add that to their agenda.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
They usually have that before their meetings.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
What state agency do you deal with?
housing.
And Connecticut Housing Finance Authority, CHFA. DOH and CHFA, you sort of have to deal with both of them, don't you?
Yes and no.
No.
If you approve for CDBG funds, that's through the Department of Housing. But if there's other programs that you're receiving funds from that are distributed through CHFA, then you work with both, you know, that thing.
Okay. Any other questions? David, any questions, comments?
No, I'm listening.
Okay, good. Anybody here? No? Okay, good.
Groton Community Conversations events. We are hosting a series of communication sessions. Where we're discussing various topics.
Oh, and he attached to this to our agenda.
Yes, oh, sorry.
Okay.
Discussing various topics pertaining to the work we do in the community or for the community, in effort to kind of open up discussion and try to hear from people we don't normally hear from, or allow people an opportunity to get that initial understanding of the types of meetings or discussions that are held pertaining to the work that we do. We had our first session February 22nd, and the topic for that one was growth, change, and quality of life. It was hosted at the Nautilus Museum, by the submarine base. I think it started at 5:45 until 7:15 or so.
And it is available on YouTube.
Oh, yes,
I
it's
wasn't
recorded,
able
yeah.
to go to it,
Yeah.
but I did watch the recording, and I do recommend taking a look at it. It's great, because you can fast forward everything that you don't want to listen to. But there were some very interesting parts. I learned some things. you recommend?
And so we were trying to, again, the community outreach effort, trying to, communicate in a different way. Trying to,
Engage the
and
community.
and we try to host them away from typical locations, host them in the community. I guess our effort is to go to the community and have this conversation instead of asking the community to come to our office. So the success of that we don't know yet, but we are trying. And so how do you encourage any of you if you want to attend or tell someone to attend? You can
How
go to
many
that.
people came?
No, the number was put up there. I can't remember now. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna say 30, 40, 50. I mean, it was in a room, a big
Yeah,
size,
it was-
little auditorium kind of room.
It was kind of full. That auditorium. I don't remember the number.
Okay.
And they did a question and answer
Yes,
format where people in the audience could write questions on index cards, pass them up,
Yeah.
and then the presenters would summarize the question and
And so-
give response, which was really
That's
interesting.
excellent, yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of food is it?
I don't remember. I can't go like this. Oh, there's food. You wanna go? There's food. They weren't showing pictures of the food on YouTube, so I don't know.
I think we had the Mediterranean restaurant.
Oh.
Pizza pocket?
Yes, that's what they had. And I think that was someone in the office suggested that we try to work with local businesses to kind of promote that for them too. Trying to remember.
And the next one that's coming up, the topic is housing.
Yes. Well, no, it's not the next one.
It says April 25th housing.
The next one is this month. That's one you're holding. Oh, sorry, I was speaking to, February 22nd, we had one. In March, they'll be shaping the future. Yes, so I'm sorry, I thought you were looking at the February one. You're looking at the March one, yeah. That's what's coming up now, and that's gonna be at the Marine Science Magnet High School. At 5:45 till 7:15 or so.
You know what? I'm just looking at this, if this is what's being posted. It's not very, my feedback, it's not really clear to me that March 28th and this, the location and this, the time, that goes together.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't say the topic
Oh, okay.
here. So
On that
just
side, yeah.
some feedback for
Yeah.
whoever designed this.
Yeah.
Oh, it means March 28th, shaping the future
Yes,
of
the topic,
Groton?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I'm beginning to see how this is laid out.
Yeah.
All right, interesting.
Sleeping colors are highlighted in orange, so that,
Right.
you know they go together.
More,
Oh,
okay.
okay,
Mine's
that
in
makes
orange.
more sense, yeah.
But I'll communicate that feedback to the person who created the document.
Okay, yeah.
And then April 25th, it's the housing one, and that one is going to be at Charlton Garden Bank. We've already communicated with them, and they've agreed to host that one. Sorry?
On Route 1?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And then in May, we don't have a date yet because a lot of times we work with the speakers. Again, we try to not be the ones speaking a lot, but more so allow outside people who have more expertise in these areas to be the ones communicating and questions, so that people don't hear from the same people over and over again.
Civics 101, that's a wide variety.
Yes, yeah. Again, that's why we're trying to, what questions will come up there will be the questions that come up through that. You know what I mean? We're trying to open up the opportunity for communication and conversation to occur. We don't want to limit. That's why even the housing one, we could have just said affordable housing, but then that will limit the discussion to just
That's
that.
true.
You know what I mean? So we're trying to kind of keep an open mind as to, what the community wants to communicate about those topics in general. April is also Fair Housing Month, and so we'll be pushing a lot of promotional material about fair housing, and to kind of help our community understand what it means, what the residents' rights are with fair housing, and what the process is for applying or submitting any complaints that need to be filed.
I have one more question.
Yes.
I'm sorry. sorry, I'm always full of questions.
That's okay.
The president is trying to help renters, not only with high rent, but kind of, pointing the finger at the owners.
Oh, the landlords, you mean, okay.
Yeah, and as to being greedy, which is exactly what they're doing. Is any of that gonna be covered on ways to help renters? I mean, sure, if you're disabled or if you're old, you can go to the assessor's office and get help. But if you're just Joe on the side of the street with a huge rent, there's nothing can be done. If a landlord is raising the rent more than the GDP is going up, is there anything can be done?
We do have a fair rent commission that I am staffed to. And my requirements as staff to the fair rent is ensuring that renters understand the process and how to file a fair rent complaint. We also update our website with our fair rent commission information. And I think we've added, if you look at on the town's website under community development, we've added frequently asked questions and kind of answered some of those questions to further help renters understand really what the process is, who can file a parent complaint, when should you file a parent complaint, and what's the timeline with everything, because there's a lot of times, and I understand we all have lives that we're living, sometimes someone will want to file a parent complaint after they've paid the rent increase or have signed the new lease. There's challenges that come up with, so understanding that ahead of time, I think, has been something that I've tried to work towards, making sure that our community is informed about the process. We've also partnered with the New London Homeless Hospitality Center. They have renters' rights consultants. They have an eviction prevention consultant. And I work with him. They are receiving opera funds for the town. And they started on this, I think, in the last year. They finalized an agreement. And so starting, I think, December already this year, I've started forwarding a lot of people, both to myself, but also including the consultant at New London Homeless Hospitality Center, because he, as an outside source, can speak more on the renters' rights in this process. Me, as a staff to the Fair Rent Commission, I need to maintain a neutral stance and make sure that I give the landlords the same rights that, not rights, but information that the renter can get. And so I need to be able to, and I don't make any decisions. So when it's calls about is this fair or is it not fair, I can't really answer that. I can help you through the process and tell you that the commission will look into that, and the commission has the power to make that decision. I don't have that power. But through the renters' rights consultant, they can further speak about, the details of that individual's case, because there's a lot of variables that play a role in determining, what is fair and what's excessive rent.
Marge, what I'd like to do is bring our meeting to a close. The questions about the Fair Rent Commission don't really fall under the CDBG under the community development.
Okay.
I have a question about the Fair Rent Commission too, but I'd like to see, is there anything else about our agenda, about our items that anyone has? Otherwise, we can adjourn, and then anyone who wants to talk a little more about Fair Rent can. No? Okay. So I'm going to adjourn the meeting as we completed our business. And we meet again in 3 months, March, April, May, June. I will just be coming back from a trip to Ireland, so hopefully my flight is on time the day before and I get here. If not, be prepared. And what was I going to say? When you ask yourself, why do we meet? Why does this group do? How are we important? Just remind yourselves, the two big ones in my mind are the CDBG grant. In order for the town to apply for that, in order to get $2 million to help Mystic River Homes, help with low-income senior disabled housing, we have to have this group of citizens. It's part of the requirement of that grant program. And the housing rehabilitation funds, which also comes from the CDBG program. In order to have that, we have to be here. So that you're helping people who need those funds by donating your time to participate in this process. So I like to remind myself of that periodically. Okay, we are adjourned for today. Thank you all. David, thank you.
Thank you.
See you in June. And so now, having nothing to